The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Carden suppressed his anger and asked again, a little embarrassed. But am I hard of hearing? Why do you suddenly not like it anymore? Could it be, you behave like that because of her, because you know her? Or just act like dirty cowards? What did you two do to each other, without telling me? Ronan couldn't hear these words, so he shouted loudly, hey! Shut up and focus on blocking. Unless you want to die, then keep talking. Ronan's murderous attitude and lightning-fast movements caused Carden to suddenly lose control. He clenched his teeth and gums, trying to resist Ronan's attack. What the hell? Why is it still so strong without mana? Immediately after that, Carden was pushed away. A large crack appeared on Ronan's sword. You pointed the tip of your sword at Carden, constantly warning. All day long you kept talking, saying you didn't want to use the spear, so I changed it for you. Do you like it? As soon as the words ended, the spear in Carden's hand immediately broke in half. His eyes were bloodshot and he shouted angrily, how dare you, bastard! You didn't know your identity, then frantically took the spear and rushed towards Ronan. Do you think you can leave here unharmed? Ronan did not show any signs of fear. He stood there continuously staring at Carden. Just as the tip of the spear touched his face, it seemed to be under the influence of a supernatural force, quickly breaking into many small pieces, causing Carden to freeze without saying a word. That's right, I think I'll be fine. So, just take care of yourself first. As soon as he finished speaking, Carden was sent flying by Ronan's blow. Ronan hit him in the face, then his ribs. Then swung the sword again. Give him a fatal blow. Carden was completely defeated and immediately fell to the ground. Ronan glared at him and reminded you, you should feel lucky because this is an academy, if I meet you outside. So now you have lost your life, do you understand? Seeing this scene, the students there couldn't help but be surprised. How did Carden lose? He is in the top third-year academy. Ronan heard it and turned around. Now it was his turn. A few young men forced her to bring a handkerchief, quickly step out, and then he raised his sword and pointed it at the group of three of them. The man with curly blonde hair was startled when he heard it. What am I doing? If it stinks, go wash it yourself. Why bother others? You think the commander-in-chief, I mean, the teaching assistant is my servant. As soon as the words finished, he was so scared that he cried and didn't dare move. Ronan basically felt that they were too aggressive, so he had to take action directly. Come here, I will kill all of you innocent nose squeakers. Adishan heard that and immediately stopped you. Wait, stop, Ronan. Then I put my hand in front of him. I don't know why he did that, but I'm really okay. But Ronan just quietly replied, the teaching assistant, please stand aside. I can ignore anyone, except those idiots who treated you like that. I can't stand by and watch her suffer. At least in this kingdom. You shouldn't be treated like that. After saying that, he immediately stepped forward and placed his hand on her shoulder. She moved away. I didn't intend to stop until I gave them a good beating. At this moment Nabarose immediately spoke and stopped. Stop it, Ronan. As soon as he finished speaking, countless green breaths flew to cover him. I won't hold you responsible for the last battle, because in real life there are no shortage of such accidents. But if you cause a bigger problem, I won't be able to close my eyes and let it go. Put down the sword and step back. Ronan's hands suddenly trembled. The aura emitted was so terrible, making his body unable to move. That is, after saying that he slowly turned his head. Is it a snake? Then behind him, a green snake with bright yellow eyes was sticking out its tongue and pointing its cunning teeth at him. Could this be Professor Nabarose's aura? The peerless swordsmith. Then she continued, Ronan, what you are doing cannot be considered a competition. Is the person in charge of this class. I will not allow any more violations. Ronan was not convinced and immediately objected. Thinking back, she could not have known that her teaching assistant was being treated unfairly like that. Even so, she still stood aside and let it happen. It was between the two of us, not your problem. So this will be the last time I warn you. Stop now. The two people's eyes became sharp at the same time, full of murderous intent. But this makes Ronan hold the sword in his hand even tighter, despite the great pressure from Nabarose that hinders him, whether she is a peerless swordsmith or not. My answer will still not change. Go away, Nabarose calmly replied. Then there's no way. Van was jealous, then performed a move, ordering the giant snake to attack Ronan. His face immediately sweated, remembering even more what had happened. Commander-in-Chief, I once asked you, why did you volunteer to take on the position of commander, which everyone wants to refuse? And she just replied, one day you will understand, there are things you cannot force others to do. That was fate, she answered. What were you thinking at that time? What is the thing you carry on your shoulders? Ronan, I'm really sorry. People must carry this burden. Don't forgive me. As soon as the words ended, Ronan also woke up in reality. He jumped up in panic and shouted, no. He still hasn't stopped panicking. At this moment a gentle voice said, What's wrong, Ronan? Are you having a nightmare? Ronan immediately realized. Her commander-in-chief. Commander. Adishan widened his eyes and asked again, Commander-in-chief, what do you mean? Hearing this, Ronan suddenly startled. While scratching his head, he quickly explained, it's nothing. But yes, this is the clinic. Adishan nodded slightly. Yes, the professor told me to bring you here, and also the professor said he would correct my behavior today in the supplementary class. That's what she said. Ronan gulped softly. The movie's over. Should I faint again? His sigh immediately attracted the curious Adishan next to him. But by the way, Ronan, before, you were angry because they treated me like that. When you heard it, your face turned red. Turned his face away, acting cold. Because I care a little too much about manners, and I'm also an upright gentleman, you must be shy to talk about it. Adishan smiled slightly. Immediately after that his eyes became sad again. Not only Carden, please don't hate the others too. Because I also understand how they feel, when they treat me like that. Ronan couldn't believe his ears. What? I mean, how can you say that if you already know everything? How can you still work so hard as a teaching assistant? Before, I wondered why you did that. Now I don't understand even more why you continue to do those things. Isn't it strange? The professor already knew that everyone treated her like that. It was all obvious in the lessons, so it couldn't be said that she didn't know. I can't understand why she turns a blind eye to such injustices. This is something I really don't understand, whether or not the academy is intentionally covering up for those nobles. You're not angry at all when they treat you like that. Adishan smiled slightly. If that's what you mean, then I hope you don't misunderstand the professor's reason for doing that. Because I told her to do so. As if Ronan didn't hear clearly, he asked incredulously, sorry, what are you talking about? That's because I like to have privileges that I don't deserve. First you have to reach the level of an expert about swordsmanship, only then can you learn in that class. But even after studying for a year, I can only control basic mana. You can't believe your ears. What? There was no way the previous commander could have used that huge amount of aura. There was a time when she was like that. Adishan explained again, so I privately asked the professor to turn a blind eye no matter how the students treated me. Because I don't want to be a burden to her, when she accepted me as a teaching assistant. While I was enjoying that privilege, of course I had to pay the price, by suffering like this. But don't worry, I can still handle this. After saying that, I clenched my hands tightly, looking extremely determined. But still thank you for what you did today. Originally, I thought I was used to ordinary things. But today I was a little touched by what you did. By the way, what is your reason for enduring these things? Just because he wanted to become the general commander of the army? Adishan was so surprised that he covered his mouth tightly. How did he know? It was so obvious. That's true, but I'm not sure yet, so I can't say for sure. But my dream is to become the commander of this empire. As soon as she finished speaking, she looked extremely confused, because she thought she was promoting herself. Of course I know this might sound a bit too much, coming out of the mouth of someone who hasn't yet reached the expert level. Even so, I'm still not planning to give up. Maybe you don't believe it, but I'm quite confident in my understanding of technology and tactics in the military. To achieve that dream, I'm trying every day. Then she opened her rough, calloused hands and spoke with a cheerful attitude. Well, it's time for the next class. Ronan, you have to rest well before going back there. Do you understand? He nodded slightly jokingly. Yes, I understand. Thank you for keeping an eye on me, senior. No problem, then I'll see you in class next time. After Adishan left, Ronan became thoughtful. Remembering your advice in the future, Corporal Ronan, if you see me again, could you tell me that instead of wasting my time pointlessly, I should just do some sewing? I've done everything, but I've never done it. What to do now? What do you want me to do? Commander. Time passed quickly. A few days later, it was already the weekend. Ronan went as scheduled to the entrance of the Grand Cappadocia smithy. What is it that he called us here for? But there's no one here. Remembering last night, after hearing a knock on the glass door behind him, Ronan immediately turned away, not knowing what was wrong with him, but sent carrier pigeons at midnight like that. Even though he said it was a masterpiece he had created, I thought it would take a while to complete, but I didn't think it would be that fast. When he arrived, there was no one there. He was busy doing business. Right after that, he bumped into a cavalry helmet. Because he was angry, he kicked it straight away. Why are there so many things blocking the way? Have you never cleared them? Is this really how you guys receive guests? Both Asel and Maria also noticed this difference. Why has he been so sensitive these past few days? I can't help it. Did something happen in class that made him angry with me? Standing here will only make you more tired. Let's go inside. At this point, Maria couldn't stand it anymore, so she ran to stop him. Wait, do you really think you can do everything you want? Ronan listened and just calmly said, he's the one who told us to come. First, what should you be afraid of? You two stop talking and follow me. Let's see what he's doing in there. He must have pressed here before. After speaking, he raised his hand to press a small brick on the wall. Right after the floor collapsed, he nodded slightly. That's right. Acel immediately signaled to Maria, will it be okay? Then who can stop this lunatic? Ronan rubbed his neck while grumbling, an old man who doesn't even know basic customer service. What else can you do? Let me go down there and see if I see him. As soon as they got there, a terrible scene appeared before the three of them. The whole forge was engulfed in flames. What was going on here? The corpses of blacksmiths appeared everywhere. Acel pointed in the distance in horror. Ronan looked. A stone giant. The blacksmiths are being chased by the stone giant. How could that thing appear here? It seems like they will catch them soon. What should we do, Ronan? We can't let those blacksmiths get into trouble. Ronan tried to take a deep breath to calm himself, then wrapped his arms around Acel's waist. No more questions, leave it to me. She was so surprised that she froze, and Ronan was about to jump down. It took a while for Acel to realize the current situation. Maria, you will cover the rear, go find someone to help. We will go there first, you receive orders to act immediately, okay? Okay. As for Acel, let's go down, then immediately jump into the sea of fire there. Using magic to slow down gravity, and stealth magic when we jump down, Acel tries to perform the move, Invisible Hand. The stone giant quickly caught up with the remaining blacksmiths. They were also afraid and their legs were weak, they could no longer walk. No. Is everything over? The stone giant raised his hands, preparing to finish him off. Ronan rushed forward and used his sword to amputate both of its arms, luckily just in time. I've had a lot of trouble these past few days, so my mind is a bit frustrated. You guys picked the wrong day to start trouble with me, you stupid rocks.